Today's video is Chapter 7, Lesson 2, and we're going to divide monomials. Let's do a little review first. So these first two are review, and this one is our new one. Whenever we have a multiply in the middle, then what was the rule with the tiny numbers? Well, this rule was we were going to add the exponents. Not adding any coefficients, like if we had a 2 and a 7, but the rule is to add the exponents. So I'll leave that 2 and 7 there. Our final answer would be 14 with an x to the 12th, because 4 plus 8 is equal to 12. All right, there was a rule when we had an exponent that had its own exponent. The rule there was we multiply the exponents. We don't multiply coefficients. So if I had a 2 in front, I'm not multiplying the 2. I'm doing 2 to the 5th and x to the 15th. 2 to the 5th is 2, 2, 2, 2, and one more 2. 4, and another 4 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So we could also say 32x to the 15th. But the main rule that I want to point out is that we are multiplying the 3 and the 5 to get 15. 3 times 5. So any guesses before I tell you, what do you think the rule is going to be when we divide monomials? Well, did you make a prediction? It is subtract. We are going to subtract the exponents. So 10 minus 3 is 7. My final answer is x to the 7th. Your first question of the video, what is the answer going to be? Multiple choice. Do you think the answer will be A, x to the 7th, B, x to the 3rd, or C, x to the 10th? That's a 10. X to the 10th. Okay, so type in your answer, A, B, or C. The correct answer was B. 5 minus 2 is equal to 3, so it's x to the 3rd. Now, what would have happened if we'd had the 2 on the top and the 5 on the bottom? Well, you can think of this in two ways. You can either think it's going to be x to the 3rd, it's still going to be x to the 3rd, but it's going to be x to the 3rd that's in the bottom, because the bigger guy is in the bottom. 5 minus 2 is 3, so x to the 3rd's got to live in the bottom. Well, we have to have a numerator, so what numerator can we pick that doesn't change things? 1. The other way you can process this is to go top down. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Start at the top and go 2 minus 5, and you get a negative. Anytime you get a negative, negative numbers have to go to the bottom of fractions. For example, x to the negative 8th is equal to 1 over x to the positive 8th. X to the negative 10th is equal to 1 over x to the positive 10th. 5 to the negative 2nd is equal to 1 over 5 to the positive 2nd. Anytime you have a negative exponent, you just put it in the bottom, and he can become positive, and there would be a 1 on top. So, let's recap. You can either think 5 minus 2, and since I started in the bottom, my answer is in the bottom. Or you can think of the actual subtraction starting at the top. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Negative 3 goes to the bottom. Okay, let's do another one. What if I had x to the 7th, y to the 10th, z to the 14th? I have x to the 5th, y to the 12th, z to the 20th. Okay, so I'm going to subtract. Each of these are subtraction. You can either say, I'm starting in the top. Let me draw a fraction bar. Okay, here we go. I'm starting in the top. The bigger guy is in the top. So when I subtract and get a 2, he lives on the top. When I subtract and get a 2, 12 minus 10 is a 2. Since I started at the bottom, the bigger guy's in the bottom, the answer is going to stay in the bottom. 14 and 20. 20 minus 14 is 6, but since the 20 is in the bottom, I don't want to write 20, I want to write 6, then the answer lives in the bottom. Okay, so x lives on the top because there's 7 x's on the top and only 5 on the bottom. Oh, yeah. Okay, now here's another way you can think of it. X to the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. X to the 5th. There will be 5 x's on the bottom. These x's cross out, like kind of cross cancel each other. These go away, these go away, these go away, these go away. There's 2 left on the top. 1, 2, I wish I wouldn't have picked such big numbers. There are 10 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 y's on the top and 12 on the bottom. So when I go to do all that cross canceling, I'm almost done. These 10 go away. Oh, I messed up something. Okay. And I'm left with 2 on the bottom. 2 y's on the bottom. So yet again, there's another way to think of it. You can think I'm starting in the top, the answer stays in the top. If I start in the bottom, the answer is in the bottom. You can think of there's 7 on the top and only 5 on the bottom, and there's going to be some that cross out and 2 remain on the top. You can say 7 minus 5 equals a positive 2. Positives are on top. 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Negatives go to the bottom. 14 minus 20 is negative 6. Negatives go to the bottom. Here's your second question. Here's the question, multiple choice, A, B, or C. When you do all your subtracting, will they both live on the top? Will X be on the top and Y on the bottom? Will Y be on the top and X be on the bottom? Did you answer C? 8, let's start with 5. 5 minus 11 is negative 6. So the x's have to be down in the basement to make them a positive 6. 8 minus 4 is positive, so he can stay on the top. Or you can say there's more x's on the bottom, so the answer is going to be in the bottom. 8 is bigger than 4, 8's on the top, so the y's are going to stay on the top. Okay, what if we start having negative exponents? X to the negative 2nd over x to the negative 6th. Well, I only have one way of doing this. Negative 2 minus negative 6. I wish there was a different way I could do it, but it's just you got to start from the top and go down. And I think this is one of those situations, kind of like the matrices, where it's better to see it and to take this time to write it out so that you don't make any silly mistakes. So these two make a plus, and I'm left with a positive 4. So the answer is x to the positive 4. All right, let's try another one. So I've got a negative 8 and a negative 4. I'm going to write it out so I don't make any mistakes. Negative 8 minus negative 4. 2 negatives in the middle make a plus sign. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. So my x's are going to live on the bottom so that I can make them a positive. My y's, I've got 10 minus a negative 5. Well, 2 negatives make a plus sign, so it's 15. 15 is positive. There's no reason to banish him to the basement. He gets to stay up on the top. Y to the 15th. All right, here's your last question. Pause it and see what you think. We have a whole bunch of X10s and Y2s and Z4s, and who's going to be on the top and who's going to be on the bottom. Final answer is A. 4 minus negative 6. These two minuses become a plus. That's a 10. He's positive, so he stays on top. So it's either got to be A or C, because these guys put x to the 10 on the bottom. Negative 12 minus negative 10. These two become a plus sign. It becomes negative 2. Negative 2 goes to the bottom, so y squared is on the bottom. 5 minus 1 is 4. He's on the top, so it's got to be A.